For more on this, we're joined by former National Security Advisor KT McFarland. Lady, always a pleasure to talk with you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. It's quite an opening, isn't it, for John Bolton's new book?
Yeah. No kidding. John Bolton, in what the White House is calling a work of fiction, says President Trump is unfit. He says he is uninformed. He says the president is a threat to America. Your reaction?
You know, on Election Day 2016, John Bolton and I were both in New York in the Fox Screen Room, and both Fox News contributors. And I said, well, John, did you vote? Did you vote for Trump? And he said, yeah, I think he's an idiot, but I voted for him because anybody's better than Hillary Clinton. So then when he was appointed as National Security Advisor a year and a half later, I was really surprised. I thought this is not going to end well, in large part because President Trump has a very different worldview than John Bolton. I mean, Trump wants to use economic warfare and trade to cut deals. And John Bolton is a neoconservative. He's a guy who is in favor of using preemptive military force. And so I thought, well, they're not going to fit very well for national security positions. But then the other thing that just didn't fit right to me in looking at what John's put out so far is he says he feels really strongly that Donald Trump is unfit for office, that Donald Trump has endangered the nation's security. Well, Chris, if he felt that strongly about it while he was National Security Advisor, why did he keep doing the job? Why didn't he come out? Why didn't he quit? Why didn't he say, look, this man is a threat to the nation? And then even more so during impeachment, John Bolton could have testified, but he didn't. His book wasn't out yet. He wasn't going to make any money if he testified. So I think the whole thing it doesn't quite ring true to me.
Yeah, I'm kind of suspect on that myself. The RNC released this, mocking this book. This, it reads, "The Room Where It Didn't Happen." What is your take on former national security officials, whether it be Bolton, whether it be Mattis, taking shots at the president after they've been out of the administration? I don't think I've seen so many alleged so-called conservatives or patriots resembling Democrats in my life.
Well, look, part of this is President Trump's own fault. When he fires somebody or when they resign, he can't just let them go quietly. He can't resist sort of kicking them on the way out the door. So, of course, it makes them very resentful. But at the same time, you know, when President Trump talks, I mean, the thing that I've noticed when I worked with him as Deputy National Security Advisor, look at what Trump does, not what he says. He says a lot of stuff. And sometimes he'll say it within the confines of the Oval Office. He's sort of trying out ideas. He's thinking out loud. He's sort of wistfully, oh, I wish this could happen. But look at what he does. He doesn't carry that stuff out. So as I looked at what John has written, most of it is Trump thought this or Trump said that. But it's never Trump did this or Trump did that. Me, I'm much more concerned with actions and deeds as opposed to words. But, you know, Washington, they're much more concerned with the words, and they don't really expect the actions. So I think it's par for the course. And I'm sure John will make a lot of money on this. But I think that the idea that a president of the United States can sit in the Oval Office and talk about things, batter ideas around, even if they're dumb ideas that he would then decide he doesn't want to carry out. The fact that there's now no sense of privacy to it, that every advisor has to quickly run out and print the notes of his meetings in hopes of making some money off of a man or a president who's given him the opportunity to serve. I don't know, it just doesn't sit very well with me. And so far, there's a lot of words, but very few deeds that Donald Trump did wrong.
I'm with you. Shifting gears, there was a banner that was flying over one of our embassies in South Korea that read Black Lives Matter. And my big question here is, what is any government entity in the United States flying anything that says anything other than all lives matter? In the United States, every life is precious. That is who we are as a people. What is your take on this, and how is somebody allowed to get away with this and keep their job?
Well, I would certainly address my questions to the Secretary of State and saying, what the heck's going on at your State Department? Look, Americans, we can fight like mad internally and disagree about things and argue and call each other names. I really believe that when the United States presents its face abroad, especially its official face abroad, we should look united. We should not bring our partisan politics across the water's edge and let other countries then drive wedges between Americans. We're divided enough as it is. We don't need other countries to sort of air our dirty laundry. So I think it was a shame for two things. One, it's domestic politics interfering with our international relationship. And two, I like you. What's going on here? I mean, why is one embassy doing this? Others are, others aren't. Is every embassy going to just sort of espouse the political opinions of they choose to espouse, even if it's not official American policy? I think it's a very bad precedent to have this flag flying.
Last thing I wanted to ask you is about this dust-up between the Chinese and our allies, the Indians. 20 India military personnel lost their lives, at least by the reports out there. Geopolitically, what is going on here? I know it's an old dispute, but why now?
You know, part of it may be a distraction campaign on the part of the Chinese. They really do not want their domestic audiences to be looking a little too closely at what's now happening in Beijing, which is a whole new round of coronavirus. So I think part of it may be that. But secondly, you know, the geopolitics of it, where is the United States supposed to be? We should be all over it with India. I mean, India is the strategic counterweight to China. India is potentially a strong ally of the United States, particularly as a country and a nation in South Asia that can balance with our interests. You know, they're a democracy, they trade, they obey the rule of law, and I think that it's a country that could be a very strong ally of the United States, much more than it is now, but going forward, especially if the Chinese keep doing what the Chinese seem to be doing.
KT McFarland, always a pleasure talking with you, lady. We'll talk to you next week, hopefully.
Chris.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing news channel, now in 65 million homes. Get Newsmax TV on all the major cable systems or go to newsmaxtv.com and click on the Find Newsmax tab to locate us. Remember, Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.